Well, Geshe Lhakdor, thank you so much for making the time in your busy schedule to come and join us on the Wisdom Dharma Chats.
My pleasure. Yeah.
It's so wonderful to be here with you
Thank
at
you.
the Library of Tibetan Works and Archives. Of course, you're the director of this amazing institution. And I believe it was founded by and conceived by His Holiness.
Yes.
And I was hoping you could tell us a little bit about His Holiness's visions for this institution.
His Holiness, of course, has this far-sighted, long-term vision for every aspect of Tibet or human life. And then also the circumstance was such that when the Tibetan refugees started coming after him, two prominent things that they were able to bring with them is their children and some precious artifacts, holy statues and scriptures. And then many of them, after reaching in India, they thought His Holiness is the one to whom we should give both our children. It's very interesting, our children and also the holy scriptures and statues. Then His Holiness put all the children in the school.
Yes.
And then for those artifacts and scriptures, he said we should open a separate place where everybody can come and go around or study, whatever. This is how it came into existence. Yeah.
So this place was really at the center of saving the Tibetan culture.
Yes, as far as the collection is concerned.
Yeah.
But the main process of preservation of culture is not just collecting artifacts and scriptures. It should be collected in the mind of the people.
Completely.
Yes,
Keeping it alive.
yes. We have the Central Tibetan Administration, and we also have a project of digitizing some of the scriptures and archiving those things. But I always tell them the most important part of archiving is archiving in the mind of the younger generation. Otherwise, according to the modern system, you archive everything, put it in air-conditioned room. This is all very good. But if you're nobody who can really understand what is present there, the value and preciousness of that, then it's of no use.
How's that going, Geshe Lhakdor, this,
Going slowly, but surely. But the Central Tibetan Administration has a 3-year project of digitizing all the collections from different monasteries. So they started doing this. It was a 3 years project. They did 2 years, and then the US had stopped. So I think they are still continuing.
Yes.
But that is one thing. But in our case, depending upon the availability of fund, we do it slowly. Sometimes when we have funding, then we have 2 people working, more funding, 3 people working, no funding, just 1 person. At least 1 person I try to keep, so that it's slowly. So at least 15-20% of the collection digitized. Yeah.
So preserving and educating.
Preserve,
and then the Tibetans came from Tibet to India and then offered these, basically these amazing special texts and artifacts that they had brought with them at great risk to their own lives.
Absolutely.
What are some of the things that have been kept here when you think about, what comes to mind when you think about some of the precious items?
There are many. In our collection we have not only the Buddhist philosophical text, but also on literature, poetry, music, so many different topics. I can safely say, topics dealing with all the 10, subjects. 5 major subjects and 5 minor subjects, they are all there. And the oldest we have is the one that is of 12th century, which is the Wisdom Perfection Sutra. We have already digitized it. It's a little bit falling apart.
Wow. In Tibetan?
In Tibetan.
Wow.
Tibetan.
12th century
handwritten.
Handwritten.
Yes, handwritten.
Wow. Where did that come from? Do we know where that came from? Or
I don't remember right now, but most of these big, scriptures came from the border areas, because there's no way the individual person can bring those heavy texts, you see. So the monasteries nearing the border, they were able to send some of these.
Was it the 8,000 or the larger? What the perfection of wisdom?
Like whole
perfection of wisdom.
No. That is also there, but the whole Kanjur and Tenjur, we have few sets, different publications from Derge, from Amdo, Narthang, and all these different collections. Yeah.
And then the Perdoma as well.
Yeah.
And then so how are we? So it's one thing to collect and save these precious texts and items. Then how are we? How is the education? How are we passing that on? How What are some of the
No,
programs? I know you
education-
teach as well, Geshe Lhakdor.
Yeah, yes, I teach. The process of education is, for example, in the first few years of my directorship, I paid a lot of attention to improving at least the external look of or the infrastructure of the institute, so that it becomes a little bit inviting and attractive. But that is only for the initial stage. And once you attract people, then you have to provide education. So therefore now our focus is more on education. For example, right now we have at least 200 students from all over the world studying here for 1 year, except the winter break. So this is a continued process. And then plus we have 2 months special, education training for younger Tibetan and others, Tibetan speaking youths. Then followed by 3 months, special training. Then in July we are giving a special 5 days, teaching on Buddhist philosophy and Tibetan language and culture to maybe 30, 40, students studying in the West, Tibetan students. Because we have, since few years we have organized, not us, but the Central Tibetan Administration organized this program, 3 days, conference. They call it 50-50, now they call it VTech. So they invite at least 100 students from all over the world to give them exposure about what is happening in Tibet, what is the situation of culture, things like that. So now, as I suggested, now some of them are staying back after the 3 days conference. Then we'll give them more intensive training.
Incredible.
For at least 5 days.
There's a long
to start
tradition
with.
of Westerners coming to the library since the 1970s.
Yeah. Especially in the beginning, library was probably the only place which is recognized and where people come. For example, Alan Wallace was the first student he was actually waiting the library to open. as soon as we opened the library, he jumped in.
He was ready.
Yeah, he was ready.
Yeah, I think many of our audiences in America, Australia, all around the world, and and a lot of the teachers.
Then after some years, the China adopted the open door policy. Then many Westerners started going there. Now again, more are coming here.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And then, what are people interested when they come here? Like the Westerners, when they come here and they want to learn Buddhism, what are some of the things they're asking about? And has it changed over time? So when Alan was
actually now those majority of the people who come here are already Buddhist.
Yeah.
We have a big group from Vietnam, then some from Japan, and then plus many of these Buddhists in the Russian republics, from Kalmuk, from Tuva, from Arginsky. So they form the majority. They form the majority. Then plus we have some Western Buddhist students also. So mostly Buddhist. But then there are some who, out of curiosity, want to attend few classes. Then I tell them, okay, please sit, go.
Come and try.
And see.
But what are the Western Buddhists interested in? What do they ask you? What are some of the questions they ask you?
For me, I'm more of an administrator, not a regular teacher. So I give talks and teachings to different groups, and I speak on those topics which I feel is important for them in life. Not as a Westerner or as a Tibetan or as a Buddhist, but what is the pressing issue in today's world? How can this be addressed by changing your attitude, or drawing something from the Buddha's messages, things like that. So my topic, and people also like it, is that make sure that you have a happy, peaceful life. And then what is it that will bring about this peace and happiness? So that's my main focus.
So you feel these teachings are as relevant as ever?
Ever. You have to, I always say Buddhism is like medicine. Medicine will be relevant so long as there is human physical illness. Similarly, as long as we have this mental illness of negative emotions, Buddhism will always be relevant. But then sometimes how you present it maybe, differs from person to person a little bit. Some people may not be able to digest it quickly, so you need to give a small, not very powerful dose. Then after that, more powerful. If that doesn't work, then maybe a little bit operation.
You increase the dose over time, but
exactly.
Sometimes we need to operate.
That's needed.
Yeah, absolutely. So what does a small dose look like, Geshe-la?
Small dose is, when I talk about small dose, this is actually started today. Small dose, I think, means not talking about nirvana or enlightenment, liberation, but as a human being. Whether you accept it or not, we all really want happiness. And happiness also, if you sit down and think, then happiness also not for one day, as long as possible. Right?
Yeah.
So how can you ensure that you have at least, more reliable long-term happiness? So that happiness, the primary source of that happiness is your inner resources, the way you think, not so much about the external resources. So we need to, emphasize on this, because today, when they sit down, they get some idea, we want this long-lasting happiness and the inner resources are important, but that's not how we live in our rushed world. We rush, everybody says I'm busy, because they are primarily chasing the external material objects, you see. And then the problem with that is material resources are limited. Interestingly, this is what I always talk about. So today, after lunch, I'm going to give a talk in the conference. So they give me a topic on sustainable way of life. This is very, very crucial, because as His Holiness always says, there are two types of suffering. One is natural calamity, which we have to try to handle, but not so easy, like earthquake and so forth. Then the second is man-made suffering, which is essentially unnecessary. It is our own creation. So those can be, with proper awareness, information, we can reduce those things, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. Geshe, when you talk about inner resources, are these resources we already have, or are these resources we have to develop?
We have the capacity.
Yeah.
We have the capacity, but it's like a precious hidden gem, which is there in your house. You did not know it is not there, so you thought this another piece of stone. So did not polish it, did not see the value. So now we need to see this value. So which primarily means that unlike other animals and the sentient beings, human beings have this amazing human intelligence and brain. Right? In other physical structures, we are not superior or better to other animals. They have much, much better prowess than us. But this is human brain and intelligence. But unfortunately, this amazing brain and human intelligence is used in the wrong way. So what is being taught in Buddhism is use it in the right way, so that you will also become like His Holiness Dalai Lama or any other. We are same human being, because he used this brain in the right way. Then there are others who use this brain for stockpiling arms, inventing ballistic missiles, nuclear bombs.
Yeah.
So there is also a problem, right? There was a time when the planet was controlled not by human beings, but by animals of the sea, of the land, of the air. We have no control. But it is because of this brain intelligence and then the capacity to work together, we control everything. So that is not necessarily great. What is important is now use this brain intelligence so that we have a happy, peaceful life. Not talking about future life. This life is not dream, it is here. So how can you ensure that this short life, I call it short life, how can you make this life peaceful and happy? So I think it is because of this, the first teaching that the Buddha gave us on impermanence. And so these days, by copying him, I have also started saying that, look, right now we have a little bit over 8 billion human population. All this over 8 billion human population are dead after 100 years, counting from today.
This is true.
And this is, I'm not saying that we will be killed by bomb, they are all there, but even otherwise, our lifespan is about 100 years. So the reason to say that is, what are you going to do with this few years that you lived? Are you going to bring more suffering to yourself, more suffering to other people, other sentient beings, destroy the planet? Or are you going to live peacefully, happily and harmoniously? That's the challenge.
What shall we do with our few years?
Exactly. So that's why the Buddhist teaching of mindfulness of the present moment. Tomorrow nobody knows. Forget about next life, next year. We make some preparation, which is good, but the most important thing is be happy today. Enjoy the sunshine.
So Geshe, you said you talked about it's intelligence. That's what separates us.
Yes,
Our
exactly.
unique quality as humans is this
Yes.
intelligence. And some people might think it's our intelligence that gets us into trouble. You know,
Yeah.
you also said that, you know, we have this gem,
Yeah.
we have this treasure box,
Yes.
but we don't know we have it.
Exactly.
And instead we chase after trinkets.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly.
These
Exactly.
cheap trinkets we chase
Exactly.
after.
Exactly.
And we use our intelligence to chase after these, you know, these things that are worthless, and we have the treasure already.
Exactly.
How do we take this intelligence and direct it towards uncovering the treasure we
So
already have?
therefore, we need to sit down and contemplate, and meditate, and recognize that. The problem with us human beings is we pay attention to only what is visible, sound, object, what we can directly perceive, and we have this habit of not paying attention to those which is not visible. But the truth is, this invisible force, you call it energy, call it mind, it is the one which controls our life. And if that one is not happy, disturbed, you can never be happy. So need more study, more meditation, more mindfulness. Meditation not in the sense of a very sacred practice. It means, it basically means make your mind habituated with the good ways of things.
Yeah.
Because we are very strongly habituated with bad ways of life, and that brought all these sufferings and problems. You don't want suffering, therefore now you should make your mind habituated with the good thing. That's what meditation is about.
So getting used to good qualities of the mind.
Exactly.
So we have intelligence, and then we have. What's the relationship, Geshe? Because someone might say this. You know, your uniqueness is intelligence, but that's what gets you in trouble. Maybe we should concentrate on compassion. What's the relationship between intelligence and compassion?
The compassion will come only if you have the knowledge.
Okay. Yeah.
Why should you take care of yourself? Why should you take care of others? If you have this cognizance,
Yeah.
right? So therefore, by using intelligence, for example, if I understand, that this environment is the only home, the earth is the only home where we live. Okay, its natural resources are dwindling, and my friends, relatives, family, everybody is going to die one day or get separated from me one day. If you know all this through cognitive, analysis, if you understand all this, naturally you develop concern, a sense of responsibility and compassion. Naturally,
Yeah.
automatically come. For example, I give a very convincing, I think it's a convincing example. I tell them, like, if there's a big table in front of us, on which, let us say, two very elderly person, a very old woman, a very old man, lying there, over 90 years, very old, and also physically sick. They may have some wounds and pus oozing out, things like that. If that is there, now this is the reality we see with our eyes. When you see such reality of these two kind of people in great plight, will you develop attachment? Saying that I want to marry this old woman or old man? Very unlikely. So if you see the reality there, this is actually, I think, is a very good finding.
Yeah.
Because the more you see the reality, the more you see the uselessness of the negative ways of life. Now when you see the same people, you as I mentioned, there's less chances of developing, attachment and hatred. Instead, there's more chances of developing concern, sense of responsibility. You might come up saying that who these old people are, they are very poor, give them some water, let us take them to hospital. Those good things will come. Now, normally in our life, these things doesn't come because we just take it for granted, eat, go through, and then, think this is the life. No. There's animals also do like that.
Yeah,
but then the problem with the animal versus the human beings is, animals, they are not so conscious about that, but they also do the least damage. In fact, they contribute more for the environmental flourishing. Now human beings, because of this corrupted wisdom, corrupted intelligence, all this pollution and other things that we see in the world are human doing.
Yeah, you mentioned this word corrupted intelligence.
Yes.
I like this idea.
Yeah.
And it seems, because someone might say, I think it's really important, the point you're making is that it's not just that we have intelligence, but we have to use this intelligence to see reality.
Transform that into wisdom.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because someone might say, oh, Geshe, you said that everyone wants to be happy and no one wants to suffer.
Yeah.
And you say, we are so intelligent.
Yeah.
So if we want to be happy and we're so intelligent, why aren't we happy?
Yeah.
And I think you're teaching us that it's because even though we're so intelligent,
Yeah.
we don't see reality.
Exactly. And then because that intelligence and that brain, brain, amazing intelligence, is just like the nuclear energy. It's just potential.
Yeah.
The question is how you are going to use it.
What's the difference between corrupted intelligence and wisdom?
Corrupted wisdom means, for example, if you use your intelligence thinking about how to fool other people,
Oh yeah.
how to engage in corruption,
Yeah. Yes.
how to cheat the, things like
yeah.
that. That's also kind of intelligence, but that's corrupted. You are using it for harmful activities. But if you use this wisdom for how to bring harmony, how to help each other, that is real wisdom. So
Yeah.
wisdom comes through experience.
What's the relationship between wisdom and seeing reality, Geshe?
Because reality is always there, right? And therefore, when Buddha spoke impermanent, suffering, interdependent origination, emptiness, he did not invent these objects. They were there. But people are not paying attention to this. So he paid attention to this. Look, your life is impermanent. Things are changing. So you need to live in accordance with the flow. You see, he saw it.
Yeah.
Then he taught it. You see. And then he said, for example, the reason he gave this Four Noble Truths in the very beginning is he was able to clearly see people are looking for happiness, they are not getting enough. People don't want suffering, but they are getting it in plenty. Then he said, is there a cause for suffering? Is there a cause for happiness? If there is a cause for suffering, then people don't want suffering. They should find the cause and reduce it. If there is a cause for happiness because they want happiness, then find the cause and then strengthen it. As simple as that. But of course you can go deeper.
Yeah.
But
What would you say the cause of happiness is, Geshe?
cause of happiness is the right path, morality,
Yeah.
concentration, wisdom, as we always say.
Yeah.
Right?
What is happiness? Because we might have a corrupted understanding of happiness.
Exactly. So happiness, now here, this is very good question. So happiness is different from pleasure. In today's world, we are pleasure seekers.
Yes.
Everybody says, I'm very busy. You say busy because you are chasing the sensual objects. You want something, you want something tasty, you want something fragrant, you want to listen to the best music, things like that. You become slave to the dictates of the sensual object. So that may give you some kind of fleeting, temporary pleasure, or even fleeting kind of happiness, but not long lasting. Right? And in fact, if you get addicted to it, it will have adverse effects. So therefore, what we really need is reliable, long-lasting happiness. Now, so therefore, happiness means satisfaction. If you live your life in a proper way, don't practice duplicity in your life, say one thing, do other thing, then you have nothing to hide.
Yeah.
Then you are satisfied. Okay, you do your work, you go home, put your head on the pillow, sound sleep. Because contentment. Yes, you have nothing to regret, nothing to feel sorry. That's happiness. So it's not so much about how much money you have or how much wealth you have.
Yeah, because, partly you're talking about happiness, pleasure.
Exactly.
And pleasure is, if you know the reality of pleasure, you know that it's changing.
Exactly. Pleasure changing, of course, happiness also changing.
Yeah.
But pleasure is of the senses.
Yeah, pleasure of the senses.
Pleasure is pleasure of the senses, primarily. Happiness is of the mind, mental consciousness.
Okay.
So deeper.
Yeah.
Much deeper, because the mind is the one which controls everything, including the senses.
Yeah.
Okay.
So pleasure is often connected with an object, right? But when we talk about satisfaction and contentment, on what basis is the resting of satisfaction and contentment?
For example, you can think, I'm so lucky. I'm born as a human being, not as a cow or a dog. Once a Western nun came to me and asking me, Geshe, can you please teach me meditation? I told her, you go out, I have nothing to teach. All the rules, regulations, they are all in the book, you read it. But I'll teach you one thing. You just go out and the whole morning you imagine you are a cow, not a human being. And live like a cow. Eat like a cow. Then you will get a sense of what it means to be a human being. So like that, you need to really meditate and understand these special qualities that you have, special opportunities that you have. Right? Then you feel happy. Like, for example, the human beings have so many so-called facilities.
Yeah.
Many of them may not be facility, but we do have so many facilities. The animals don't have, birds don't have. Then among human beings also, like you and me, we are specially fortunate. All our senses are intact, your hands are working, legs are working, your heart is working. So there's many reasons to be happy, you see, like that. So therefore, I'm saying this because many times people don't appreciate what they have. They always complain about what they don't have. Oh, I'm not Bill Gates. Oh, I'm not Elon Musk. How nice if I'm like them,
This word appreciation, the power of appreciation, is very important.
It's very important. Power of gratitude, power of appreciation is very, very important.
I think like a gratitude and appreciation, it seems like, when people often talk about gratitude, they're thinking about things in the past.
Yeah.
But the thing I like about appreciation is appreciation
Present,
is
exactly.
the present.
Exactly.
You need to appreciate what's in the present.
Exactly.
Yeah. And this, it seems like this is the way to discover this treasure you talked about.
Exactly.
The power of appreciation.
Exactly. And then always, there is, for example, when I work here, I always find an opportunity to say some nice word. I don't call it helping so much, but still it's a kind of help, right? People come ask some questions, they need a little bit from me, basically information, some little bit teaching or some guidance. I always get this opportunity.
Yeah.
And when I say something, it sometimes, just 2 sentences might change their life. It happens actually. Not because of me, but because of the message, you see. So then you feel happy, I was able to help this person. He went back smiling, I'm so happy. So you can easily make your life very happy. Yeah. But if you always chase, after name, power, fame, they're not reliable.
Yeah, this will end.
Today you will up, tomorrow you will be down.
This will end in a mess, we know.
Exactly.
It's interesting, we can know these things, Geshe La.
Yeah.
But then to actually live it, it's sometimes what we know and how we live, there's a big gap.
Big gap.
How do we close this gap?
That is repeated practice.
Yeah.
Repeated awareness, repeated meditation. Gradually it will become part of life. Just as today we are so good in quickly becoming angry, quickly developing negative emotion, because we are habituated with it for many years or even past lives. So it comes almost automatically. So like that, now you need to do a kind of revolution.
Revolution.
Kind of revolution, yes. They live in the other way of, life. Try to practice compassion, love, patience, all those good things on a regular basis. Then things change. Wonderful. And the good news with this mind is it can change.
I think many people listening is going to be very inspired by what you have just said.
Yes.
Very inspired.
True.
And I'm wondering, what advice would you give them for their first step? So now they're inspired, they listen to Geshe La, and they're like, I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
What's their first step?
First step, as I already mentioned, be happy that you're a human being with this special capacity, special, potentials.
Yeah.
Right? And then the very special thing about human being is you have this amazing human brain and mind. Use that for constructive purposes, for bringing smile on the face of others, for contributing something to the environment. Wherever, it may be a small environment, wherever you are trying to, make it clean, make other visitors happy, things like that. So you always have this opportunity to do these things. Now this you need to do. Unless you do, you will not understand it. You need to do.
And so can we do this, can we sit at home and we think about our life and appreciation? This is what we're doing, practicing.
Exactly.
Some people think of meditation as sitting there, looking at their breath. How do we?
Here, like that. That's why I always Of course, there are many forms of meditation, but I always tell them meditation basically means getting habituated with the positive ways of life. Yeah. Because we are having these personal problems and sufferings and problems in the world because of negative emotions, anger, jealousy, hatred, negative competition, my country, your country, men, women, all this narrow-mindedness, segregation, sufferings all come from there. So now try to reduce that, stop that, get more habituated with sameness, harmony, And for example, it is very simple actually. When we are born exactly in the same way. Whether you are American child or Tibetan child or Chinese child, the first thing that the child does after the birth is crying. Everybody. I've never heard that American children after birth they laugh and smile, and Chinese kids, weep. It's not like that. Same exactly. So what did when the child cries? That's the first thing. First, kind of slogan or language that they have. What do you think the child is asking? Doesn't matter which country.
Yeah, they want.
The child is definitely 100% not asking for a lengthy discourse on Buddhism, right?
Yes.
And thereby any religion.
Yes.
The child is asking for somebody's unconditional love. Love also unconditional love, because the child has at that time nothing to give back. So he's asking for somebody's unconditional love. And that unconditional love he gets primarily from the mother and others. This is how we survive. Now gradually when we grow up and then get some kind of the so-called formal education, then we forget this most fundamental important thing. Then focus more on which country, which religion, all these dividing things.
Our intelligence gets
Intelligence, exactly. And this is very unfortunate, because that's why I was talking about the importance to understand the law of nature. If you look at the law of nature does not make discrimination. Dharamsala, where we are doing this interview, is earthquake zone number 5. Okay,
Yeah.
very risky. But if there is an earthquake, it will never say, I will shake and move only the Tibetan, not the Indians or visiting foreigners. The earthquake will shake everybody.
Equanimity of the earthquake.
And if you want more evident example, then remember COVID-19. When COVID-19 came, see, this is the joke. You see, when COVID-19 came, the so-called powerful countries, what did they do?
What did they do?
I don't need to name some of the so-called powerful countries who always brandishing their weapons and guns. They could not really address that problem. This invisible
global issue.
It became global issue. And then unfortunate thing is, then the COVID-19 influence a little bit reduced, then we again forget.
Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah.
So these days I'm telling people that COVID-19 was a very big disaster, but still we came out with some vaccines and things like that. But because of the environmental degradation, if there is a really big shortage of water, what will you do? I don't think there will be a vaccine that will produce water in plenty, you see. So now they say not only the primary resources, but even the secondary resources and primary resources, all of this there's a shortage of everything. And even the air, which is the primary resource, right?
Yeah, primary.
Generally speaking, water, air supposed to be unlimited, but because of our way of life, they are becoming polluted and of no use. So as simple as that.
Geshe, I want to talk about another project that you're working on.
Yeah.
You're celebrating 25 years of the Science for Monks.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that program?
Yeah, this program we started 25 years back with the help of our very good benefactor, Bobby Segar. When he went to see His Holiness Dalai Lama, he went to see His Holiness saying, Your Holiness, is there any area where I can help? And His Holiness, without a second thought, said, science. So it was clear that His Holiness was thinking about, teaching science to the monastics for a long, long time. So then with his help and many other collaborators, we continued this. Now we completed 25 years. Now this is very important, because science and spirituality, and thereby science and Buddhism for me is really like the body and the mind. Just as we need to keep the body and mind together, there's no other choice, right? So for physical well-being, some of the material development, success, very much comes from the science and technology. I'm now speaking on the positive side.
Yes.
Right. But then that does not solve all human problems, because the mental problems are still there. So His Holiness is saying that, okay, material progress is important, but unless you address the main problem, the human way of thinking will not be able to solve the problem. So His Holiness always said, so long as it is a human activity, be it science, be it technology, whatever it is, it should help towards the peace and happiness of human beings. So therefore this collaboration is very, very important, right?
What have the monks been studying? Like, how do they
The
study
monks
science?
primarily study physics
Yeah,
and biology, of course then cosmology,
yeah.
and then within those areas, of course, there are so many different subjects, and we primarily study those subjects where there is a more closer correlation between the two disciplines, so
Between
that
Buddhism and
and science,
Yeah.
so that we can fine tune.
So where are some of the interesting meeting points?
The
between science
interesting
and
meeting points is, for example, in the case of physics.
Yeah,
In the physics, there is a rich exploration of the subtlest level of, atoms and particles. That is
Yeah.
there in science. In Buddhism also, for example, in Abhidharma cosmology, there is this talk about particles, but that is very rudimentary, very basic. So
Yeah.
now you can learn deeper findings from science, so that will enrich your understanding of the physical reality also. And then when it comes to the field of mind, there's hardly anything in science. Even the neuroscience, it's the youngest science.
Yes.
Now it's only some years. Now they have started coming more and more. So there we can also make huge contribution. So we can now explore about, is it just the mind or is it just the brain? And especially to the scientists, we can tell them, is it just the brain or is there a separate thing called mind? And if there is no separate thing called mind, if it is only the brain, then how about those people who are able to clearly remember their past lives?
yeah.
Things like that. So if more and more people are coming, so we can tell them. And not only that, we can tell them how to, through meditation, mindfulness, how could you really, change regulate your emotions, regulate your negative emotions, and thereby more peace and more happiness. They all like.
Do you think the scientists will be open to these sort of discussions?
Oh yeah. Because the good thing that I find with the scientists, the real scientist, not the fake scientist. With the real scientist is, if it is an area which they don't know, they have the courage to say, we don't know, this is not our field.
Yeah.
They will never say, oh, since we did not find it is not there. So they will simply say, so far we did not enter into this realm.
Yeah.
If we get some more information, we'll let you know. So they'll never say it is not there.
So say you have a very smart scientist in front of you.
Yes.
And they say, well, and they think that everything is just physical. Sukh. There's only sukh. No sem. There's no such thing as mind. There's just form.
Yeah.
How do you? And they say, well, so what is this mysterious mind thing you're talking about?
Yeah.
How do you talk to
No,
someone?
that I may not be the expert one to explain all this, but you can see, not all sentient beings, in order to carry forth their life and activities, it is not necessary they all have brain. It is not necessary they all have nervous systems.
Petachena.
Yeah.
For example.
Petachena, for example, there is one, I think, what is it, jellyfish probably?
Oh, jellyfish. Okay,
Yeah.
now I understand. Hagazon.
doesn't have nervous system, doesn't have brain,
Yeah.
and one of the longest living species. Or even otherwise, you go to mosquito and see whether it is a brain or mosquito is not that big, not that small. We go to this tiny small box that is there in the water, which our ordinary eye cannot see, but with the microscope you can see it. So they are still very active and functioning. How would you explain it? And then we can go more deeper, subtle, and then we can say, yes, there is a realm which is called formless realm. There is no physical form. So we can prove like
Great.
that. Yeah.
These are great discussions.
I don't know.
This has been a very, very interesting conversation, Geshe. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I'm wondering if you wanted to leave us with any sort of final words or anything to tell us a little bit what's happening in the future at the library, just to finish.
No, library, as I already introduced, our job is to share the Tibetan culture and Buddhist philosophy. And our intention is not just to say Tibetan culture is great and very special, it's only the Buddhism which is the best. That's not our intention. Our intention is how much we can contribute to those people who come here to study, to make them a little bit happier, you see. Because the Tibetan culture or Buddhist culture is a world cultural heritage. And any world cultural heritage, be it Buddhism, be it Tibetan culture or any other culture, any other philosophy, it is the responsibility of all of us, human beings, to preserve their tradition. Because as we can now see clearly, the more your inner mind becomes, deprived of these inner qualities. And I in fact tell these people, much of the problems, sufferings that you see in the world today is a clear indication of poverty of human mind, starvation of human mind, and it will become more intense. Now, to be honest, the world's natural resources are used primarily by few countries and few rich people, with the help of science. Science also really not so much primarily what is given by science, the technology they use it. Okay, and then now we have artificial intelligence also. Generally, I am not against science or technology, anything like that, but I am against people who use these things, who have access to, who control these things. I'm sorry to say that most of the people who have the power and who have the means, who control them, are lunatics.
Yeah, because they're using it for bad.
They're using it for their own glorification, greed, and discrimination.
Yeah.
You against they, me against they, this country against.
This is because there's no inner development.
It's happening right now.
Yeah. No inner development.
Yeah. So therefore, as he's always mentioned, it's really like putting a child in the seat of a rocket. A child who has no idea, put it on the seat in a rocket. He will just do something and then explosion. You see, it's like this. Very dangerous.
So what to do, Geshe?
Huh?
What to do in this situation?
So now still, we are not in a very comfortable situation because we are already controlled by these few people, whatever be the case. And these few people also actually, in many cases, some are autocrats, dictators. They are not elected by people. But even in the so-called democratic countries, many of these people, these leaders are elected by people. So I can't say all these people are lunatics, but I want to say that we really need more thinking, planning in electing these people and leaders. And so therefore the solution is proper education.
Proper education. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Wonderful conversation.
Thank you. Thank you.